Divine revelation is central to the Bible, a library filled up with various and frequent accounts of visions, just one type of altered state of consciousness. Cognitive neuroscientists, together with anthropologists studying cross-cultural psychology, define altered states of consciousness as conditions in which sensations, perceptions, cognition, and emotions are altered. Such states are characterized by changes in sensing, perceiving, thinking, and feeling. In the noble attempt at becoming truly considerate Bible readers to our Middle Eastern ancestors in the faith, hopefully, these YouTube presentations will help us illuminate biblical passages from such new discoveries in cognitive neuroscience, psychological anthropology, and related disciplines, which have made giant strides in recent decades in understanding the human brain, nervous system, and how they work. In a previous video presentation, we mentioned that the decision to close the biblical canon in the 4th century generated a movement of large numbers of people to promote dreams and visions, altered states which offered a more direct link to God. A very curious story comes from the 5th century document, The Sayings of the Fathers. It reports that the Christian abbot Olympius once told a story about how a pagan priest came to his monastery and spent the night there. When the pagan priest observed the lifestyle of the Christian monks, he asked, "Leading this kind of life, do you see anything of your God?" To which the abbot Olympius replied, "No." The pagan priest then said, "When we, pagans, perform the sacred rites for our God, he hides nothing from us, but reveals his mysteries to us. But you, Christians, after so many labors, vigils, periods of silence, and ascetic exercises, say, 'We see nothing'? It would seem that if you see nothing, you keep evil thoughts in your hearts, which separate you all from your God. And because of this, he does not reveal his mysteries to you." The abbot reported the words of the priest to the elders, who marveled and said, "Yes, it must be so." We Christians, along with our Jewish and Muslim brothers and sisters, talk about God and in the name of God all the time. From where do we derive our information about God? How does God communicate with us? Under what circumstances and conditions do such communications happen? How can we be sure that we have in fact been in touch with God, holy and absolute mystery, rather than with our own wish projections and imaginings, as Sigmund Freud contended? Does God communicate with others beside Catholics and other Christians? Or is God hidden by deliberate design from great segments of the human family? Is the form of divine self-disclosure or revelation verbal, dramatic, mystical, historical, social, political, natural, cosmic, or what? And what is communicated or disclosed? Does revelation consist of facts about God and the other world, or is it God's very self that is being communicated? And would we have known that which is revealed, even if it had not been revealed? If God does indeed reveal, why is it that so many people seem indifferent to or ignorant of divine revelation? Or is it perhaps very difficult for most humans to pick up God's signals of transcendence? The reality of God, my friends, can neither be proved nor disproved by rational arguments alone. No argument against God's existence is so convincing that belief becomes impossible. No argument for God's existence is so convincing that belief becomes inevitable. To judge that God has been revealed in a particular person, event, or mystical experience is precisely that, a judgment, no matter how reasonable or informed it might be. In the beginning was the interpretation. Indeed, there are many religions rather than just one, because, among other things, as the pastor, the true author behind the document called 1 Timothy, says, God, who alone has immortality, who dwells in unapproachable light, and whom no human being has seen or can see. We can never be absolutely certain that we have had an experience of God, or whether we have correctly perceived, interpreted, and expressed that experience. Since God can become available to us only in some bodily or sacramental way, the self-communication of God will always be conditioned by the historical situation of the person or community to which God is disclosed. Revelation is received, in other words, according to the mode of the receiver. The God question, therefore, is in actuality the reverse side of the question of human existence. Who am I? And who are we? Because Christians are no less human, no less historically situated than others, the Christian perception, interpretation, and expression of the experience of God in faith is also, in principle, subject to ambiguity, error, and distortion. On the other hand, it is the distinctively Christian conviction that God has been disclosed so clearly and so distinctively in Jesus of Nazareth that there is no possibility of fundamental error in the perception, interpretation, or formal doctrinal expression of the experience of God in faith. Fundamental distortion is possible in secondary matters of belief. Ambiguity, however, is always possible because of the ineffable character of God and the inherent limitation of human language. Returning to the story of the abbot Olympius, what exactly did the pagan priest mean by the Christian monks having evil thoughts which blocked access to God despite their many wonderful practices that should induce an experience with God? Do we 21st century Western people also have such evil thoughts? Are we blocking otherwise available experiences with the divine? And how would we overcome such blockages?